Dolphins fans, welcome in to Dolphins Today. Fun show planned. We're going to talk about the Dolphins' moves in free agency. We're going to give a grade for every single signing that the Dolphins have made thus far. They're probably not done. Definitely not done. But we're going to take a look at the signings they have made thus far. What's been your favorite move thus far? Let me know down in the comments. Was it trading for Jalen Ramsey? Was it signing Braxton Berrios? Let me know down in the comment section your favorite move thus far. The first move that Miami made was re-signing Salvon Ahmed. They did this the Friday before free agency. I'm going to give it a B-. I even said before free agency that I wanted to bring one of Ahmed or Gaskin back. They surprisingly bring both back. But Salvon Ahmed didn't have a whole lot of carries this year, but certainly showed flashes when he did. So I'm fine with him being a depth signing. But at the end of the day, I'm a little bit disappointed that Dolphins did not go out and get a running back. Instead, they re-signed all their running backs. This was an absolute home run. Jalen Ramsey, A+. Not only do you get one of the best corners in the league to the Fins, you absolutely fleece the Los Angeles Rams in the process. You only give up a third-round pick and a tight end with one career reception. Absolutely wild that the Dolphins were able to pull that off. Here's what Jalen Ramsey did this past year, giving up 5 touchdowns, 18 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. One of the best corners in the game is now a Dolphin. Now, do the Dolphins have the best secondary in football? Why for yes and for no? They got some really good safeties, Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey alongside Kader Kohou and Nick Needham. I'm going to type my Y for yes. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So when ad break comes here in a few seconds, take advantage of it by chiming in down in the comment section. Y for yes or in for no. Let's get into our next signing. That would be Mike White. This was the first splash the Dolphins made on, last Monday, the first day of free agency. Mike White, I'm going to give that a B+. 2-year deal, $8 million. Incentives bump it up to $16 million. When it was first reported, it was a 2-year, $16 million deal, but it's worth up to $16 million. So it's really a 2-year, $8 million deal. $4.5 million guaranteed. I think that's pretty good value for one of the better backup quarterbacks that was available. He is from Miami, so he comes home to the 305 to play for the team that he rooted for growing up. That's really cool. And I liked what I saw from Mike White in a Jets uniform last year. Certainly showed some flashes, and I think he's going to be a really good backup for Tua. I'll reiterate what I said when the Dolphins signed him. You can win games with Mike White at quarterback. You did not win much this year without Tua Tagovailoa. 1-4 in games without Tua. Hopefully, Tua doesn't have to miss any time, but if he does, I'm confident that Mike White can get the job done. Moving on to our next signing, this was an absolute slam dunk. I'm going to give the David Long signing an A. He's going to be your new starting inside linebacker. He signed a 2-year, $11 million deal, $5.5 million guaranteed. Was really productive for the Tennessee Titans. And he was, really one of the better coverage linebackers available in free agency. So to be able to get him for 2 years, $11 million is an absolute steal. Here's what he did this past season. 4 interceptions at the linebacker position. 5 pass breakups. Actually, it was 2 interceptions last year and 2 the year prior. So 4 interceptions the last 2 years for David Long. 7 tackles for loss, 86 tackles last season. Again, that was a 2-year, $11 million deal. When you look around the NFL and you see some analysts breaking down some of the moves, this was one of the better value deals in the entire league, being able to sign David Long, 2 years, $11 million. If the Dolphins make more moves, I'm certainly going to let you guys know. So subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay in the loop. We're almost to 41,000 subscribers. Be sure to subscribe to the channel right now if you haven't already. Another linebacker the Dolphins signed, Duke Riley, re-signing Duke Riley, and taking a look at what the Dolphins' linebacker depth chart looks like after some of these moves. Duke Riley going to be a backup. I like bringing him back, 1-year deal. He's been solid as a role player on this Dolphins defense. Raheem Mostert, I'm going to give it a B+. I wanted to bring him back from the jump. Yeah, I would have preferred, maybe to trade for Derrick Henry, but you still bring Raheem Mostert back to your deal. $5.6 million. That's why I really like this move. It's a great value move. Just $2.2 million guaranteed for the Dolphins' leading rusher last season. Average nearly 5 yards per carry. That's pretty good. 3 touchdowns, nearly 900 yards for Raheem. I really like Mostert, and I'm happy the Dolphins brought him back. But before free agency, I said bring back one of Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson. Instead, they bring both back. I like the Raheem signing a little bit more than I like the Jeff signing. Jeff is actually making more than Raheem Mostert on his contract. I'm okay with bringing them both back, but when you had the 27th ranked rushing offense and you had Derrick Henry on the market and Dalvin Cook and Miles Sanders available in free agency, I'm a little bit disappointed that the Dolphins were not a little bit more aggressive at the running back position. DeShon Elliot, this is an A for me. He's going to be your third safety, replacing Eric Rowe, and this was an absolute steal of a deal. 1-year deal worth less than $2 million. It is fully guaranteed. But DeShon Elliot was a good starting safety in this league for the Detroit Lions last year, and now he's going to be kind of the third safety on this team. And now at Vic Fangio's defense, you're going to have 3 safeties be heavily involved. Brandon Jones, Javon Holland, and DeShon Elliott are going to be those guys. Myles Gaskin, this move was just a little bit weird to me for both sides. I mean, Gaskin really didn't do much for the Dolphins this past year, and I thought that he'd want a fresh start. I thought the Dolphins would kind of look to move on, but instead they re-signed Gaskin, who was set to be a restricted free agent. Gaskin this year just had 10 carries all season after being the Dolphins' RB1 the year prior. So I don't know if it makes sense to bring him back, to be quite frank, and I'm surprised that he ended up re-signing with the Dolphins. Freddie Swain, you claimed him off waivers, bringing him back, using the Dolphins practice squad last season. I'm going to give this a B-. It's probably a B- instead of a B, because that wide receiver room right now is a little bit crowded. I don't know if Freddie Swain's going to make the team, and he didn't bring back Trent Sherfield, which I wasn't crazy about. And Swain was on the practice squad, but was only elevated one time. So we'll see if he has a shot to make this team come training camp. You need a tight end. You got to get Eric Saubert. I'm going to give this grade a B. I would have liked them to have made a bigger splash here. But Saubert's solid. He was a good second tight end in Denver this past season. 15 receptions, had a really good game 1 week against Seattle. And he's a really good blocking tight end. So I think he fits well with this Miami team. I would not be surprised, though, if the Dolphins signed or drafted another tight end. Will the Dolphins add another tight end? Let me know. 1 for yes, 0 for no down in the comment section. Go down and let me know. Will the Dolphins add another tight end? River Cracraft hitting the Cray button again in Miami. He stays in the 305. He said after the season he wanted to come back to the Dolphins. You bring him back. I like the move. I don't love it because you could have brought back Trent Sherfield maybe instead, and I think Sherf is just a better receiver. But nonetheless, happy to see Cracraft back in Miami. Now, this move I didn't really understand. Jake Bailey, I'm going to give it a D because you let Thomas Morstead walk, who is well-liked amongst the fans, well-liked in the locker room, and you let him go to your biggest rival, arguably, in the Jets, and you sign Jake Bailey, who the Patriots cut. He was not a free agent prior to the offseason. He was cut, and you bring him you bring him to Miami here to be your new starting punter. The reason he was cut is because he was last in yards per punt last season. The first thing, I was with producer Nick Roloff when when the Dolphins signed Jake Bailey, and Nick is a big Patriots fan. And I said, Nick, what are your thoughts on this? And Nick just looked at me, he's like, he's not good. So maybe they'll sign a UDFA punter to compete with Bailey, maybe bring back my guy Sterling Hoffrichter to compete with Bailey. But I just don't really understand that move. I will say this. I think they wanted to bring a younger punter to town with the hopes that he'll be the guy for the next 5 to 10 years. Bailey's 25. Morstead is nearing 40. So if that's the case, I kind of understand it. But there were probably better options than Jake Bailey. This move, meanwhile, I really liked. Signing Malik Reed to a 1-year deal. I'm going to give it an A- because when you look at what he did under Vic Fangio in Denver, he was really, really good with Vic. He went to Pittsburgh and just wasn't that involved. 13 starts under Fangio in 2021, 43 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits, 5 sacks, just 1 sack with Brian Flores in Pittsburgh, 4 quarterback hits, 1 tackle for loss, 25 tackles, just 2 starts. So he was not as involved in Pittsburgh as he was in Denver. Malik Reed was actually interviewed yesterday when he officially signed his contract and said, reuniting with Vic Fangio is a reason he decided to come to Miami. So I'm excited to see him as a backup linebacker on this team. I think he's going to be pretty solid. We know that AVG is solid. I'm going to give this signing an A. Bringing AVG back. He is very underrated, in my opinion. Locker room guy. Fans love him. Players like him. I'm really happy to see AVG back. Kind of a surprise that the Dolphins brought him back. He was getting some interest, but the Dolphins ultimately re-signed AVG. And they're kind of set at linebacker right now. I like what they've done at that position this offseason. Grade Dolphins free agency so far. Let me know down in the comment section. Type A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give it an A-. It would be an A+. It would be an A++ if you would go out and sign a right tackle. That's the one thing that the Dolphins have not done that I'm pretty upset about. So hopefully they're able to address that position. If the Dolphins make another move, we're certainly going to let you guys know. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications to stay in the loop with the Fins.